Everyone, welcome to the committee of the whole, starting at 1 p.m., April 23rd, 2025. Approval of the agenda, we have a late item. There's a amendment recommendation that Red Barn Arts Center Centennial Mural Project grant application be added as a late item under 5B, and that the committee of the whole meeting agenda for April 23rd, 2025 be approved as amended. I can move her. Councillor Bushel. Councillor McCabe. Councillor Beach. Okay, can you hear us? Okay, all in favor? Hey, Pam, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Recommendation of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on April 9th, 2025 be adopted. Councillor Bushel, Councillor McCabe, all in favor? Thank you. We have a delegation, District of Sycamoose Development Corporation Tourism Economic Impact Study, a 5-year strategy plan with Will Harding, who is the travel local. And Carly will start it off for us. Thank you, Carly.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us as a delegation. So as you guys are aware, in November, December, we engaged the services of Travel Local and Mr. Will Harding and his team to help us put together a new 5-year strategic plan that supported our MRDT renewal application, as well as a very important project with the Tourism Economic Impact Assessment and Tourism Product Analysis. So we can understand sort of where our competitive advantage lays, as well as direct us over the next 5 years into developing these strategic ideas and plans to really set us apart and grow all of the efforts and work that we've done putting Sycamoose on the map. So Will has joined us today and is going to walk you guys through where we're at. We are on our final draft stage, and through layers and layers of community engagement and industry stakeholder engagement, we've come up with the plan as it sits right now. Will also, I'm sure he'll speak to it, but engaged Destination BC and got them involved in this project to really give us the legitimacy around the strategic tactics that are in here. But it helps us to align across a provincial direction that we want to go in. So Mr. Will Harding, who's going to, I see him on the camera here, is going to take you guys through this plan. He is the owner of Travel Local Marketing and has been working very hard on getting the project to where it is today.
Perfect. Thank you, Carly. That's a great introduction. Quick little thing. Can everybody see this presentation slide on their screen?
Yep.
And everybody can hear me. I think those are the two most important things. Can you actually see my face?
Good.
Okay. All right. I'll have to watch for that too. But I am delighted to be here, Your Worship and Council. I have spoken to you at various points. I know Mayor, you were at the Shuswap planning session. I was grateful that you took the time there.
Thank
so
you.
I wanted to take you through, my understanding is that we have about 30 minutes today and that perhaps I should present this in 20 minutes, leaving 10 minutes for discussion. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if there was a time allotted. Okay, yep, we're good.
Okay, I just wanted to be respectful of your time, but as Carly said, I have about 30 years in tourism experience. I used to be the manager of global marketing for Destination Canada, but I actually cut my teeth at the Tourism Industry Association of BC. And I really do feel like since COVID, there's an opportunity for smaller destinations like Sycamoose, who bat way above their weight class, to really shine in this post-pandemic era that is going to be very focused on local communities, making sure that what we love about these communities in the first place never goes away, and that tourism really does help ignite the well-being of the communities that it's in. I wanted to provide an overview of the projects that Carly touched on, but first, we sometimes wonder, why are we doing this? Why can't we just sketch a few ideas on a napkin or write a briefing note? Why do we have to go into such a laborious planning exercise for tourism? Well, I think there are some benefits, just like any other strategy, that you're going to increase your staff's buy-in and increase their focus and get more performance out of them, which is, as leaders, something you always want, whether it's an organization that reports directly to you or that you partner with. And then, ultimately making sure that you have a great plan with stakeholder engagement will ensure their buy-in, because a plan can never exist in isolation. Tourism plans in particular are community driven. And so all of this together, great leadership, communities working together with a strong focus, is what's really going to deliver the magic that Sicamous needs. Tourism is not rocket science. It does have, when it comes to destination management, it has two key components. It's your destination's experience position, and that's all of the infrastructure and businesses and people, how they're interacting and how they're getting involved, as well as the marketing, right? So it's the combination of these two elements that really do drive any destination's market share. And we're going to show you over the course of this presentation how we've balanced these two things, destination development and destination marketing, to provide a focus that the community is really bought into. And that's going to force us to really create a destination position that's sustainable, attractive, and supports a competitive advantage. And I'll get into the importance of that in a bit. But it really does require us to look at a wide variety of factors, not just visitors, and how these factors interact and how we need to address them in order to move forward. This project has been underway since, I would say, we got it kind of together in December. We worked with the District of Sicamous Development Corporation to help get them some needed funding. That funding was awarded, and as a result, we've been able to work with the community to start a strategy, which includes a product analysis, as well, in parallel to that, an economic impact analysis of tourism. And I'm very pleased to be able to deliver some of those preliminary results. We've been working very hard with Destination BC. And again, like Carly said, this is good news because it really does lend some credibility to the numbers. And you'll be able to shop those numbers around to hotels, for example, when you're trying to convince them that Sicamous is a good place to invest. We are very focused on data. Data comes in a number of varieties. It can come through community engagement. It can come through literature review. Sicamous is in possession of some great strategies that it's already engaged with and done the work on. We don't want to recreate the wheel. We definitely lean into the work that's already been done. We do engage the community heavily, particularly those expert stakeholders, and you'll see examples of that through this. And then making sure that we bring all of these data points together to tell a story. And rather than dumping a bunch of data and facts and figures at you, we're always going to put those into context and ultimately tell you what is the story that the data is telling us and what should be the focus coming out of that. We had a really great workshop. I believe it was at the end of January, beginning of February. Too many things in my head right now, but really strong community engagement. It would been a long time since the tourism community had come together. We got a strong member of the Splatson community come and give greetings, but also participate for the entire duration of the community engagement session. And really, the combination of the workshop that we had in February, we've had a focus group with what we would call product sector experts, people who know the trails, people who know houseboating operations, accommodations. We had lots of expert interviews. This forced us to kind of go offline and speak to the Shuswap Trail Alliance, for example, other really vested community leaders in terms of their projects. I know Deb, overseeing the Fungi Festival, provided some great impact, great feedback. As part of the economic impact analysis that I talked about, we did over 20 in-depth local business surveys, primarily accommodation providers. And then this counts today as some of the community stakeholders. So rather than just simply talk at you today, I'm going to give you the bones of what Carly and her team and myself and the community have been working on, and looking forward to Mayor and Council's feedback. So tourism is recovering. Obviously, we all went through a tough time during COVID. We're coming out of it. In 2024, domestic tourism is coming back up to 2019 levels. International markets are going to be recovering as of next year. So you have some of our biggest stakeholders in the game. We've got Destination Canada actually starting to feel pretty bullish about tourism's prospects, so that by 2030, um, Destination Canada is forecasting that total international revenue to Canada, that includes total revenue to Canada, including domestic and international, will climb to $140 billion by 2030. But the caveat here is that if tourism is willing to lean into a new direction, start to address some of its growth constraints, some of the limitations that it's currently being faced with. Some destinations really suffer from this. Other destinations are just really starting to take off and aren't dealing with necessarily the bad effects of tourism, such as overcrowding. Although Sicamous is quickly going to find itself a victim of its own success if it doesn't start to lean into the development of new seasons, and we'll talk about that. But by leaning in a new direction, what Destination Canada is saying, and a lot of jurisdictions across Canada are following, is that we could actually, by changing, we could actually see our prospects increase by $20 billion to $160 billion. So the good news there is that by leaning into a world that doesn't just consider growth to be success, we can actually find ourselves succeeding in brand new areas. Right now, this is hot off the press from Sicamous and the economic impact analysis. So Sicamous welcomed nearly 72,000 visitors in 2024. Over half stayed the night. So we see there in the pie chart, overnight leisure. Same day visitors was pretty healthy using the model, only almost 36%, as well as visiting friends and relatives, which has been counted into that. Adding all of those visitors up and applying it through the model, that we see that leisure visitors spent nearly $30 million in Sicamous last week. Almost 90% of that spending came from visitors who stayed overnight. So already we see that Sicamous is generating some incredible economic impact and bats way above its weight class as a tourism destination. We always ask, when we're doing tourism plans, we always work with the community to come together and ultimately do the most important work, which is imagine a future that they want to build towards. And this is the most important part of any plan. So setting a vision, we like to do it a little bit differently. Rather than spending all of our time wordsmithing, a lowest common denominator vision statement, we've asked the Sicamous community to close their eyes and tell us, how do they picture the future looking, sounding like, tasting like, feeling like, if success were achieved. And you can see on your screen there, words like, healthy families, busy and bustling, hearing people laughing. A lot of this work of imagining a future boils down to experiencing well-being. And at Travel Local, and certainly tourism destinations around the world, are starting to lean more and more into those social indicators of success, not only the traditional economic indicators of success. You still need the two in balance, but overall, the Sicamous community is really feeling like a thriving environment is really important to them, that they have the opportunity to feel happy, to experience some fun. Fun was a really big aspect of community feedback, that they're able to get outside. Gosh, it's impossible to keep Sicamous residents inside. They want to get outside and enjoy the front and back country and everything it has to offer. But they were quick to say that we haven't forgotten the importance of prospering businesses and communities. And so these are really fundamentally the elements that make up well-being and the future that the Sicamous community wants to work towards. So if well-being is where we want to go, that means that we need a goal that's a little bit more focused on, again, these social indicators. And this is really meeting the challenge right now. Global scientists are telling us that global warming is a thing. And you have leaders everywhere, whether indigenous or non-indigenous, saying that, like Kate Rayworth here, she is a a noted global economist who's looking at, how can the planet achieve success within these new within the new paradigm of environmental degradation and social degradation. How do we keep the world more in balance and harmony? And she says progress can no longer be endless growth. And so we know that the world is out of whack. We know that whether it's the ecological ceiling or the social foundations, we know that they're starting to come into conflict. And to a varying degrees in different destinations, this is manifesting itself. And I've talked about over tourism, but it could be, a lot more poverty, a lot more panhandling on the streets, a lot more wildfires. Certainly, Sycamoose has been suffering from that, and smoke inhalation being, one of the knock-on effects of that. So it's important to acknowledge this lack of balance in your planning. And so we took uh, the community through an exercise, and it really provided them a chance to move around and talk about what they love about the community. What are some of the growth constraints that this plan needs to address? But the most important part that everybody agreed on was that the goal, how are we going to measure success, and what are going to be the signals that help us um, look at whether or not we're achieving our goals, is really going to have to be this balance of well-being indicators and looking at visitor revenue. Visitor revenue is easier now that the District of Sycamoose Development Corporation has gone ahead and worked with the community and the business community to do the hard work of doing the economic impact analysis. Now we have a baseline, and I talked about that number earlier. So $30 million in visitor spending, increasing that 2% annually, so that after 5 years, you can do another economic impact analysis to see how much of that goal was realized. To measure well-being, though, you are going to need a different measuring tool, a different yardstick. And so Travel Local has offered to work with the District of Sycamoose to implement what we call the Tourism Quality of Life Index. And it's just a fancy survey, 32 questions asked to residents, really to gauge, how do they feel about tourism? Is it ultimately improving the well-being that's important to them in the community? And that is how you will ensure that you're getting the right signals of success. So let's talk a little bit about, based on that goal, what is the focus that's going to get Sycamoose to that goal? And it really comes down to 3 areas. One is to build up the experience, to dig deep, to compete, and make that destination marketing live a lot more. Sycamoose has a great brand, live more, and it's how do we ignite that in our tourism channels. So these are the 3 biggest priorities that we're going to talk about. So let's talk about the first one, building up the experience. So when we did a lot of data, and if you've read the draft plan or you've watched the video compendium that we provided with there, we take all of the data and we pair it together to figure out what the story is. And the story under building up the experience here is that really Sycamoose's destination growth potential and future competitiveness rests on the development of its hiking, culinary, culture, biking, and birding experiences. One of the key pieces of analysis that we did was this destination growth analysis that allowed us to take a look at who's currently coming to Sycamoose, what are they interested in doing, and then what is the likelihood that they're going to come in the future to do those things. And so by graphing those 2 things against each other, your results will land in one of 4 quadrants. And that really tells you, are these experiences a good bet? Do they have good future growth potential? What do I need to do to get it there? Do I need to invest in it with some destination development? Or is it already fairly developed and I just have to put some marketing against it? So this is a really, really great tool that we applied to Sycamoose using best available data. And what it really saw was a very stark contrast between some late growth market experiences that have really helped accelerate Sycamoose's destination brand fame to now. So a huge debt of gratitude is owed to these experiences and the people who make it great, as well as some experiences that have high potential for the future, but they're going to need a little bit of destination development, a little bit of infrastructure investment to help get them over that line before they're ready for marketing. And so I've talked about biking there. Obviously, the rail trail is going to be huge once it's completed, and you provide the support there. Tons of opportunity to connect with that rail trail. Um, to create new mountain biking loops, to create new hiking trails. And then, of course, all of the work that Carly has been doing to activate the BC Bird Trail, the culinary market. We'll talk a little bit about the competitive opportunity there. These are what we call your offensive strategies. And so whether you're investing in working with the Shuswap Trail Alliance to create a destination hiking trail to Cinemosan Falls, these offensive strategies are what you want to invest in aggressively. I'm not saying at the top right that these experiences you just let go of them or neglect them, or say, you know what, we don't need to invest as much money in you anymore because you've gotten us this far, and we're good. What you find here, particularly for motorized touring, and that includes backcountry ATV, quad touring. It includes adventure biking, which is so popular right now. We've also got sledding, which is a winter mainstay, and your lakeside lifestyle. That's essentially obviously your lakes coming for the sun, but also your houseboating. Your houseboating sector, which was also participated heavily in the economic impact analysis. And so these defensive strategies simply might mean making sure that you work with local operators to make sure they don't lose market share, so that they have what they need to continue doing their own marketing to promote the summer. But it might also mean that they need some support in terms of infrastructure development. So the Eagle Valley Snowmobiling Club, we asked them, what do you need? And they said, we're good. Winter's great. We're marketing. We've got lots of new technologies on board to help smooth things out. But we could use some parking lot enhancements over at Quest. So that's a great example of a defensive strategy and an investment opportunity that would continue to make sure that the snowmobiling industry is able to return such huge impacts year over year. And so the strategy really, when it comes to experiences, is to grow these tourism sectors that I talked about, so that target audiences are compelled to book overnight visits. And I've kind of inadvertently, as I'm talking, you've touched on some of the opportunities here, which is really looking at your BC Bird Trail infrastructure and programming, particularly in the spring and the fall when the birds are the most active, working with the Shuswap Trail Alliance to really develop a multi-day hike to Cinemosan Narrows Provincial Park. Sorry, I called that Falls earlier, but Cinemosan Narrows Provincial Park. Hiking is huge, particularly after COVID, or it really sparked a renewed interest. America does destination hikes, point-to-point hikes, circle route hikes really, really well. Sicamous doesn't have as many. If you go onto all trails, other destinations have more to offer, but offering a destination hike, my family and I, we do a lot of backcountry hiking, and we're always on the Sunshine Coast, or we just, my wife and I, a couple of years ago, did the West Coast Trail. These bring in a lot of visitors and a lot of economic impact. So it's worth investing, because really there is no destination hike in your region. Certainly you may be aware of something, but generally the consumer who hikes doesn't know. The other thing that is really an opportunity, and the industry is really behind this. So whenever you have your local industry and stakeholders willing to invest in something, it's something to pay attention to, is really a spring birding festival and a fall music festival. Events really provide an opportunity to act as a platform to activate all of your community strengths. So imagine, a spring birding festival. This is when the birds are really active. It's a bit wet, but you could partner with the Splatson to develop, an interpretive bird trail talk. You could be working with the Red Barn Arts Center to host, a shake your tail feather spring dance, partnering with the local music scene. There's culinary opportunities there. Fall Music Festival. This is an area that the industry local industry supports very, very heavily. Local accommodations operators have said that fall is an acute need period. You have, a lot of, people, Mike for instance, in his guitar business, very eager to work with houseboating operators. I know that Barb over at Sicamous Houseboats was very keen to see some type of music festival, including houseboats, inviting in some local talent, selling tickets, driving room nights. This kind of thinking really does engage the community and provides a platform for some pretty solid growth. So these are opportunities that you don't want to forget. There's also long lead opportunities that are going to take some work in the form of advocacy. And so the District of Sicamous Development Corporation is really going to be talking about some opportunities that need growth. And so whether this is trailhead enhancements, making sure that the Owlhead Mountain Bike Park phase 2 completes, making sure that the last few kilometers of the rail trail completes, whether it's working with a Splatson or a local entrepreneur to come up with a boat transfer business to make sure that, until the rail trail can completely come into town, into Sicamous, you might need a boat to bring them in. You're aware of some of these constraints. There's always going to be advocacy issues that the district of Sicamous Development Corporation needs to engage and support in order, for example, to satisfy the opportunity and realize the opportunity for backcountry ATV touring. I know that a lot of your local stakeholders are working with ATV BC because there's an opportunity in your area to create a circle tour, but there is some work to do with local forest companies as well as the government to make sure that there's some certainty and guaranteed access to the backcountry that they'll need to have that kind of a loop. So digging deep to compete, we're really big on competitive analysis. One of the main reasons for that is that focusing on being different, service quality, your reputation will deliver not only your strongest advantage, but also your largest return on investment. And it's also not easily duplicated by your competitors. And that's important to notice too, because everybody has access to the same digital tools. We all live in British Columbia. British Columbia is pretty spectacular. But what really differentiates us from our competitors is our willingness to bring our community strengths to the fore and really hone in on those unique selling points that separate Sicamous from the rest. And that graph on the lower right of your screen shows that by offering superior customer benefits, you can actually charge more money. You see that column on the left there. And if you trace your eyes in that left graph there, when you take a look at high customer benefits and high customer costs, because that's what they're willing to pay, you get what's called a differentiation advantage. And that's really the holy grail in marketing. Not only do I get strong customer satisfaction for my product, but I'm also able to charge them more money as a result. And so that's why when you trace your eyes from that differentiation advantage on the left, there's the dotted line. If you trace it all the way to the right, you can see that differentiation advantage can earn you up to 20 to 30% more return on investment. So it really does pay to be different. We did a big competitive analysis using looking at your product breadth and depth, looking at your value and your pricing. And what we really did see was that the Shuswap as a whole is 27% stronger than Sicamous on its own. We have a technique where we're able to create an index looking at the breadth and depth of your product, so we can figure out, are you scoring below or under? Are you scoring below or above your competitors? And we're seeing that the Shuswap is 27% stronger than Sicamous on its own. And then again, Sicamous trails by as much as 50% against Vernon and Golden when it comes to anchor experiences. Anchor experiences are really important. These are the experiences that people will actually jump in their car or get on a plane to do. So for example, if Sicamous had that destination hike to Cinnamos and Narrows Provincial Park, people would be getting in their car, getting on a plane in the car to get into town to do that. That's an anchor experience. But when you look at competitors and Revelstoke, that obviously has Revelstoke Mountain Resort, huge anchor experiences like that, Sicamous finds itself at a disadvantage. It certainly has anchor experiences. Houseboating and sledding are important, but you just don't have the same breadth and depth of anchor experiences that your competitors do. You're obviously in fall and winter, your product offering is weaker. Every destination, to be fair, struggles with this, but Sicamous is a bit lower than its competitors on this front. If you just look at commercial and recreational adventure in the outdoors, Sicamous is also trailing behind. What's nice to see is that Sicamous isn't very far behind when it comes to the value it's providing, whether it's the value in terms of restaurants or accommodations or its experiences. Uh, Overall, Sicamous provides really strong value for money. Ultimately, where you want to go with this is that you want to be able to charge people more and still make them happy. We call that experiential value. And you have a lot of competitors, particularly Revelstoke and Nelson, who do this all the time, that they get strong satisfaction. So you want to be a little bit more up there with them. And with some training standards, a little bit more aggressive pricing, you'll get there. What is exciting is that when you look at culinary, which is in such strong demand, uh, nobody really outperforms each other in the corridor. This means that, despite having a decent growing season, access to local ingredients, you've got a lower cost of living. You do have chefs that are moving into the Shuswap because of all of this, but it's an under leveraged competitive advantage. I know that coming back from COVID, it's been very difficult for restaurants, but this provides Sicamous with an opportunity. It's already got a really great lineup of gastro pubs, and if you're able to build on that and work with those restaurant operators, then you could really find yourself with a competitive advantage very, very quickly. So, really, what we're seeing when it comes to competitive advantage is, adopting a broader market position, which is rather than just focusing on experiences that are perhaps seasonal, think about those that have, the strongest unique selling points. Think about, if spa and wellness is really, really hot right now, make sure your marketing is including um, the experiences in Malaqua. You do to some extent, but really featuring it prominently, like the Skytrek Adventure Park, featuring that prominently on your website will definitely help. There are some operational improvements, optimized pricing, particularly in the accommodation sector, smart partnerships. You could work with Revelstoke. Revelstoke really are doing a great job, and so much so that when it comes to destinations in Canada outside the province of BC, Revelstoke actually ranks second. The Kootenay Rockies ranks second to Vancouver in terms of future potential interests. So there's really, particularly now that the U.S. With the U.S. problems, there's a lot of attention from the rest of the country that's coming into British Columbia, and the Kootenay Rockies is earning an outsized share of that attention. So partnering with Revelstoke would be a great opportunity to make some gains. We've heard from a lot of locals that it's a bit boring and a bit quiet at night, particularly in the winter. So working with the community to provide some nighttime animations and experiences would give winter visitors something else to do in the evenings. And some infrastructure investments. I know the Sicamous Lookout, just as an example, might not be the perfect example, but if it's already a really great hang gliders platform, fix it up. Perhaps it could be a viewing platform, which would provide a really strong attraction in the area. So this strategy is really about improving that competitive position with a lot of the things that I've already talked about, all to drive overnight visits and see the destination gain important ground. There are a couple key opportunities that would really improve Sicamous's competitive advantage. And I wanted to start with a story. In wartime, Canada and the US were investing in these barges that we would use to repair marine equipment. And then after the war, these barges laid pretty much well dormant, unused, just rusting, moored on the shoulder, moored on the coast. And so one company saw this as an opportunity to take these, retrofit them, and open up a spa. And so here you have Haven Spa right in Victoria Harbor. They've got one of these barges that they've taken over. It is one of the most incredible spa and wellness experiences. And so you can imagine retrofitting, and I've already talked to one of your houseboat operators about this, and they're very interested. Imagine retrofitting old houseboats as a sauna, hot tub, relaxation, and lake cold plunge business, and anchoring them on the shore during winter. Or you could tow them out onto the lake for late spring, summer, and fall. Obviously, there's going to be some logistical and business planning challenges to address, but these are the types of ideas that, if you had this type of experience, would really help you pull ahead in the competitive game. And finally, when it comes to marketing, it's really important to understand this. Looking at your own data from the economic impact analysis, we've taken a look at your occupancy rates in every month of the year. And so on the left, we have, and this is for your fixed accommodations, they have the best data. Looking at fixed accommodations to get a sense of your occupancy rates by month, you see that January, February, March hovers in the 40 to high 40% range. And then, in May, as you'd expect, that slowly climbs up. Occupancy rates are very high in the summer. You have compression, meaning it's very difficult to get a hotel room or a campsite. So not much opportunity for growth there. But then, that volume drops dramatically, as we all know, when it comes to the fall. And in fact, this is what we've seen from operators when we've interviewed them. They've really identified fall as an opportunity, but they've also identified winter. So fall has the greatest opportunity in terms of capacity, and winter has the greatest opportunity in terms of growing market share, because you are one of these rare and treasured destinations that already has a substantial winter tourism business. And it's a case of continuing to invest in that because there's room to grow. And so doing those things, whether it's marketing or investing in parking lot infrastructure at Quest, like I talked about, these are your two best opportunities in the fall and the winter. And we're going to talk about how you might want to leverage that. So as always, when you look at your data, Alberta is your top market in terms of volume and spending, followed by BC. So these need to stay your top two markets of focus. Summer, high season, lots of compression, as I talked about. Not a great opportunity in terms of marketing return on investment, although I did talk about earlier about a defensive marketing strategies for some of your key sectors. But even those key sectors like houseboating are saying, let's work on developing out the fall. Let's work together in other industries to develop out the winter. And we're really seeing your markets leaning into and showing great interest to visit Sicamous, particularly when it comes to the fall and the spring. And so you want in your marketing to develop, really strong multi-channel digital marketing programs that are going to target important new customers, particularly in the short to mid-haul markets in Alberta and BC during need periods. And the need periods is a key focus there, being fall and winter, as I've talked about. All of that to drive incremental overnight visits in the winter and fall to start. And the importance of driving overnight visits, of course, is because the more people visit, the more MRDT revenue is collected, the more money that the community has access to reinvest in tourism in a way that will drive local well-being. So lots of operational work here for behind the scenes that will be done by the Development Corporation. One of the most important things for the Sicamous Council to know about is that fall and winter are going to be the primary focus. Fall, you're probably going to see about 55% of the marketing investment go into that, and winter, only 45%. Some people might say, well, snowmobiling accounts for a lot of economic impact. It's more important in fall because it's already developed. Why wouldn't we put more money into that? In marketing, we have to understand that it costs more money to attract a new customer than it does to retain a customer or expand a market that's already fairly developed, like the sledding market is. So that's why we've allocated 10% more to the fall, because it is going to be a little bit tougher to make people aware of the fall, and you're going to have a little bit more involvement from the community, for example, to do that fall event series that with the houseboating and the music scene. It's going to mean that you're going to have to start getting focused on your best customer. And fortunately, Destination Canada has just released a segmentation program, which is ultimately going to help Sicamous figure out who its best customer is and who its best customer isn't. They have this great diagnostic tool. And so we've uncovered that outdoor explorers are your best customer type. If you think about it, at the end of the day, if there are 10 people in a room, but only one person is going to buy and likely to visit Sicamous, you want to spend all of that time courting that one person. So these types of tools will really help make sure that your marketing is focused on what what your best customer wants to do, so that you're spending your money in the most effective and efficient way possible. And then one of the, Carly and a lot of the marketing folks have been very upfront about this. The District of Sicamous Development Corporation does a really good job with its social media channels. It's on it, always working with the community to get new content, source content, share content, and plans are to reach out to the community in a deeper way to make sure that content's fresh and engaging. You need to pair up that organic social media approach with stronger use of digital advertising, and particularly with Meta and all the tools available, as well as Google. If you were to pair up that paid advertising effort with your currently great social editorial focus, you would really have a powerful marketing combination. And that's what we call a multi-channel marketing approach. And by using multiple modes, whether it's digital advertising, social media, or media relations, the more channels that you use to attract your consumer, you can get up to 3 times more of the return on investment. So it's definitely worth it. That is my whistle stop tour through the plan. It was obviously high level, and the plan is there. So please, I do encourage you to read it. I know that consultations are open, I believe, for another week. And with that, I'm going to escape from this and stop sharing and do my best to smoothly come back into the room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Will. That was awesome. Council, does anyone have any questions? Councillor Bushel.
Oh, no questions, Will. I just wanted to say thank you. Great marketing strategy, great ideas. And yeah, I know Carly and all their marketing team has been, her crew has been working hard on this, and I like what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Will, what do you see as far as, I think Canadians are going to not travel to the US? How do you see that affecting? Do you think they're going to stay right here at home, or do you think they're going to go to other countries as opposed to the US?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's like every single tourism conference out there is talking about it right now. I was just out there with my my marketing mentor at the BC Hotel conference. I was there yesterday. Just made a presentation on this very topic. And what's incredible is that Canadians are some of the biggest outbound travelers in the world. That's Canadians traveling abroad. We know we love to travel. We're travel crazy. The amount of Canadians traveling abroad is twice that of the amount of Americans coming in. And so Canadians, that domestic market is a huge opportunity. And right now they're not traveling to the US because they're pretty upset, right? Probably likely many of us included. That gives us an opportunity to steal market share from the US by opening up their attention and their awareness to these short and mid-haul destinations. Just like I said about the Kootenay Rockies, you have Ontario. When it comes to people thinking about traveling in the next couple of years, you have Ontario saying, you know what, I can't wait to go to the Kootenay Rockies. Kootenay Rockies in terms of their priority list, is second only to Vancouver. So here you've got the Kootenay Rockies, a region that you live right next to, beating out the South Okanagan, Kelowna, Wine Country, Penticton, Victoria, the list goes on. So there's never been, the long and short is this, all countries right now, visitation to the US, travel to the US has dropped 150% below 2024 levels over the same time. So the US has destroyed its own tourism industry. That presents an opportunity to aggressively go out to other countries and get them come in. So when somebody's doing bad in terms of marketing, it's a real opportunity to get aggressive. So my advice to Sicamous would be find money. The MRDT amounts that you have right now are not enough, but now is the time that would be worth getting grants, getting behind the District of Sicamous to amplify their marketing budgets, and making sure that those marketing budgets exist year over year, because you can't just do anything like, 1 year. That doesn't do anything. You have to commit to a multi-channel approach year over year. I would say 3 years, right? First year, you invest it, you're going to make mistakes. Year 2, improve it. Year 3, measure your full results against the program. But now's the opportunity to steal market share, particularly if you start to think of yourselves more as part of the Kootenay Rockies, not the Thompson Okanagan tourism region, because you have more in common with Revelstoke in terms of your market. So lump yourselves with them, partner with them to extend your dollar, and I think you'll be clear winners when the dust settles.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
It looks like we have a hand up online who might be Councillor Rich.
Councillor Rich? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Rich.
Actually, it's me, it's
Go
Pam.
ahead, Councillor Beach. I can see that.
Okay.
My question would be that, or my thought, I guess, just to bounce off of you, that our area is so central to some pretty powerful tourist attractions in larger centers. How much can we play on, come to Sicamous, and be right on the edge of the Okanagan when you want to go down and see Kelowna, or go farther, come back to us, we're central, go to Vancouver. Like, I just think of us as this beautiful place that is, it is perhaps more economical to stay here and then foray into other more expensive sort of lodging locations. But I don't know, I think of us as a central location where you can spend some time and do these days or several days in other cities and get all these experiences. Is that something to market? I don't know.
No, I appreciate what you're saying. I mean, I'm excited for Carly and her team. Carly is, like, I have to thank Carly for this. She was the one that said, look, we need a strategy. We need to invest in a robust strategy. We need to invest in a product analysis. We need to know the numbers and economic impact analysis. None of this would have happened unless Carly had said, let's make it happen. And the District of Sicamous Development Corporation's board, being behind her. So as they roll this strategy out and invest in it, they're going to be eating everybody's lunch. And I really do see an opportunity, with what I just talked about, with the shift in global travel and being able to steal market share because of the U.S. downturn. You're going to be able to do exactly what you just described, which is people adding Sicamous to their stop. But first, you got to make them aware, right? People are largely not aware of Sicamous, and the fact of the matter remains is that for every, these are the general averages when it comes to the amount of awareness versus how many people are ready to buy. For every 100 people who are aware of Sicamous, only 1 or 2 are going to buy. So you can see how many, if you want to drive revenue and visitation, you can see how many people you have to start reaching. And to increase that reach from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 1 million, because it's a straight percentage, right? If you want 100,000 people, more people to come in the winter, whatever that number is, then you have the formula. So you have to get together as a community with the development corporation, as community leaders, working together with the chamber. How can we amp up our investment, particularly over the next 3 years, to really start seeing gains, but seeing gains in a smart way by focusing on different seasons, focusing on the future in experience sectors that have strong growth potential, like I've talked about hiking and birding. Not everybody has birding. Look at your destination and the amount of birding being on the BC Bird Trail. That's huge. And last, it's one thing, everybody says that they have committed locals. Everybody says that our people are wonderful and they are what make this destination shine. But in Sicamous, you actually do have people who want to get engaged and who love where they live. And so when you have, Mike and Barb wanting to talk about a fall event that's going to bring the music, a music event out on a houseboat, I mean, I'm just waiting for tickets to go on sale, quite personally. And so I think Sicamous is going to be forever more on my own family's list of places to visit. So kind of my long-winded response there, Pam, but I think you're going to see exactly what you want to see happen very soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing with us. Will, we're
Oh,
gonna carry
Colleen,
on. Oh, sorry.
sorry, I got my hand up.
Okay, I didn't see it. Go ahead, Councillor Rich.
Yeah, just first of all, thank you for the great presentation. Appreciate it. And my question would be, I've got a lot of European contacts and spend a lot of time over there. And actually, Gord Bushel has put together 2 sled tours for next year with people coming out of Sweden and another group out of Norway that I know. And I've also had another contact out of Austria that is coming out to Houseboat next June. As we focus on Canada and what states are doing, is there a huge opportunity over Europeans travel, and these folks have money, and honestly, it's the people that have reached out to me are just people I know through my friends and family. But I think I've got over 30 people in the last 2 months that are actually now going to come on vacation next year in Sicamous and spend quite a bit of money. Is there an opportunity there that we are maybe missing? Because again, as we avoid the States and go to Europe, is Europe avoiding the States, and can we get them to Canada?
Yeah, great question. So the answer is that 100%. There's massive opportunity. There are customers for Sicamous around the world, and your local operators are already tapping into it. It just comes down to, do you have enough money to reach everybody? And so sometimes in marketing, I say to my teams, how thin do you want to spread that peanut butter on the toast? You have Sicamous, based on what it currently invests, has enough money to do a great job to attract Alberta and British Columbians. With some increased investment, I think Ontario is going to be a really great bet. When it comes to international marketing, that is very, very expensive. And so if some local operators have existing contacts and existing sales channels, that's fantastic. And the district development corporations should definitely stay out of the way. But if you were wanting, for example, to start marketing in the UK or France or Germany or the Netherlands, that requires a lot of money, a lot of staff. Probably staff is the bigger consideration. And then also working in partnership with the different destination levels from, TODA straight on up through to Destination Canada. So international, huge opportunity, but dramatically increases the complexity and the cost.
Excellent. Thank you, Will.
Okay, I appreciate it. But even with social media, if we do TikToks and that kind of thing, where we're reaching out to Europe that way on social media, not sending people over, but is there opportunity to maybe tap into that market where we're just sending some social media stuff over?
For sure, but it all, I mean, everything's possible, but it always comes down to marketing ROI, right? So because Europe doesn't know you and it's a new market for you, if for every $100 you invest, you'd be looking at probably making $50 in revenue for quite a long time. But whereas if you were to invest that same $100 in Alberta, BC, or Ontario, you'd be making $200. So it's how much money, how much patience, how much effort you're willing to put into it, and it's going to require more than just a social media push.
All right, we're going to move on now. Thank you very much, Will. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carly. Okay, we're going to keep moving here. Red Barn Arts Center Centennial Mural Project Grant Application. Tammy, take it away.
Hi again, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us, let us come talk to you today. I'm kind of at a press for time, late behind the ball always. In 2026, the Red Barn Arts Center is going to celebrate its 100th year anniversary. A milestone that speaks volume about its role as a cornerstone of arts, culture, and community life in our region. To celebrate, we are proposing a participatory public art project titled Windows Through Time. This community mural will be created from individual painted tiles, each reflecting a personal memory or future vision of the Red Barn. When assembled, the tiles will form a large image of the barn itself, and it will symbolize a century of shared stories and creative spirit. The mural will be folk art in style and will incorporate visual elements that speak to the barn's culture and natural surroundings, such as musical instruments, art tools, nature symbols, and will truly be a piece of art created by our community for our community. Our goals are to celebrate the Red Barn's 100-year legacy, engage all of our residents of all ages in a meaningful collaborative art project, create a lasting visual story that honors both our past and our future, and include diverse voices, particularly from both Indigenous and settler populations. We have applied for external grant funding to support this project to the community's anniversaries, building communities through arts and heritage. One of the grant's condition is confirmation of municipal cash or in-kind support. We aren't asking for additional funding, just your support by ways of a letter of support for our funding application. The project will be carefully planned and executed over the next coming year with the goal of unveiling the completed mural October 15th of 2026 during a community-wide centennial celebration, and a volunteer recognition event would follow the week after. So with that, we're on a tight timeline with the grant application deadline is actually a week from today. To meet this, I'm kindly asking the district to provide us a letter of support to complete our municipal, we have a municipal form that would be completed by the end of this week. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I would gladly answer any.
Thank you, Tammy. Questions?
No, it's just a statement, I guess. Well, I'd like to make a motion that we support the Arts Council for the letter of support.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Pam? Siobhan?
Hands up.
Okay, thank you. Carried. Okay, thank you,
Awesome.
Tammy.
Thank you
That
guys
was
very much.
easy.
Yes.
Sorry, we're running behind.
And thank you for letting us in at the last minute. I appreciate it.
Okay, department updates. Tyson, take it away.
Good. So got a little spreadsheet here. Short and sweet. So as you can see, our permitted construction value total is taking a precipitous drop from last year's total, but 2024 was bolstered by manufactured homes in the Hilliard development, and there were several key commercial projects from January to March last year. However, there are over 30 permits in application that our departments are diligently working through, including 8 multifamily blocks that are slated to begin construction shortly after issuance. The addition of more dwelling units to our community diversifies options for families wanting to cost living homes, so it's good news. Lateral brace requirements rolled out March 10th, and BC Housing has since published an illustrated guide to help both building officials and the builders communities alike understand and implement brace systems into their designs. The BOABC is making calculators to promote efficiency. They also held a training in Cologne on March 16th. We worked through several plan reviews, and building officials had the opportunity to grow their network and support one another as we all try to figure this out. So our department's goal is to synthesize the information of our local climatic conditions and be able to coherently present the compliant pathways for all the builders in town. So spring welcomes blossoms, playoff hockey, and excavators eager to dig new foundations. So delivering compliant permits in step with favorable weather conditions is our department's primary focus. And that's the task I'll return to once we answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tyson. Council, do you have any questions? Councillor McGee.
What's the turnaround time for a building permit?
6 to 7 weeks.
Pardon, 6 to 7 weeks?
7 weeks at this time, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
Follow up. How's that compare to other communities our size?
Salmon Arm is around that time too. They have a couple of building officials, and I haven't reached out to Revelstoke has 2 or 3 building officials working there as well. So I think we're right in the pocket for the amount of people we have.
I think that we could do better. Permits.
sounds
Salmon
good.
Arm is a city. We're like 2,800 people.
Yep.
Let's be fair here. We've been a little with the change in staff and us, ramping up and CAOs and people. So we need to make sure that we are delivering to our community as quickly as we possibly can. And I don't, for a community that size, for this size, I think that's a little long. And maybe Dean, you can speak to that. I don't mean to put you on the hot seat, but this is a topic.
I think that the team is working with Michelle, our building official, who's helping us with some experience on smaller permits and so forth. And separating our smaller permits from our bigger permits is going to help with being able to move. So the overall permits are not clogged up by the small ones. Clearing those out, I think, will help with the number of permits that can be issued on a more regular basis, which will help speed up our timeframes. But certainly, they're working hard to try and find ways to be more efficient. And as Tyson gets more experience, he will be more efficient with things, and he's doing really, really good work. We're just going to have to support him on processes that'll help speed that up a bit.
No, that's a great idea. Get the small stuff shot out and work on the big stuff. It's going to take a little bit extra time. It's a good idea. Thank you. Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, yeah, Tyson, this is January to March now, just from April 1st to today. Probably seen a lot of activity out in the community, like, out on the highway. They're getting ready to start out there. So does April look pretty good?
It's the time. Yeah. Springs.
Good work. Thank you.
It's great. Anyone else online? Okay, Tyson, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move to quarterly bylaw update. Sierra. Yay, Sierra, is this your first time presenting? Oh, welcome. Congratulations.
The quarterly report is attached to the agenda along with the files from January to March 2025. I'll go through this quarterly report first, which is the page. In total, there are 35 complaints, MTI, and complaints from the public this year, with 17 closed at the end of March. After the agenda was published, additional tickets were paid towards the 2024 balance, and we are now sitting at 5,423 collected and 8,400 outstanding. Priority has been working on collecting 2024 outstanding balances with the finance team. For 2025 balance, we have 250 collected so far and 1,900 outstanding. Once I'm caught up on the 2024 outstanding balances, I will move my focus to the 2025 unpaid tickets. A reminder for anyone who hasn't paid their ticket, we offer a 50% reduction in the cost of the ticket if it's paid within 30 days of being issued. For files from January to March, we are heavy on traffic enforcement. Earlier this year, parking violations, and now that the weather is starting to change, we're getting regarding animals, unsightly premises, uncut lawn, debris, and garbage buildup over the winter that need to be cleaned up. We also have a few business licenses we're following up on, unpaid licenses for operating without a license. And my schedule is moving to full-time starting May 5th, and that'll go till October 3rd.
Thank you, Sierra. Do we have, are we bringing in contractors this year?
Yeah, seminar bylaws coming up.
And when do they start?
They are starting to overlap with me mid-June. They'll be here to the end of August.
Okay, that sounds good. Anyone have any questions for Sierra? Councillor McCabe?
Dog park, off leash dogs, well, it is an off leash dog park. And people come from the surrounding area to use it actually. But there's some concern about aggressive dogs being off leash in the dog park. Is there any way to deal with that?
Your worship, if I may. So if there is a dog owner whose dog is not behaving appropriately, it's up to the dog owner to control their animal. If there is an ongoing issue, then we certainly would speak to them about doing that, and by law enforcement could be called, or the RCMP could be called about a dog that's not behaving properly. The owner of that animal is ultimately responsible for the behavior of that animal. If it's causing injury or harming other people or scaring other people, then there may be a cause for the RCMP to be called or by law enforcement.
Is there an opportunity for social media, maybe a bit of a campaign, just reminding people to, if they, people know if their dogs get along with other dogs or other people, like, so if it doesn't, be respectful, keep your dog on a leash, like, it's simple. So, maybe we could do a little social media, or should we, is there opportunity to post a sign?
I think there's a really
More
good-
signs.
I think there's a really good opportunity, and we work with Compton to get a notice out to the public, reminding people of leash on areas where there is leash off areas, and also reminding the public that your animals are your responsibility. Please clean up after them when they go to the washroom, and please maintain their behavior when they're out in public. With whatever means you do, some dogs do well with just a leash. Some dogs need a very short leash, some do okay with a longer leash, and some need a muzzle. So depending on how they behave, you as an owner need to know your animal and be responsible for them.
Captain?
Through the chair, I think that it is a great opportunity, especially with more people getting out. It's the dog park with the nicer weather. Councillor Rich and I did a really great video back in the fall, so maybe we can collab to do something similar and just reminding people to be respectful of others when they're using that great facility.
Absolutely, and to just remind them that that's the only place that they can have their dog off leash, and that's gonna be
Safe place.
it is, right? So, you know, I see tons of dogs at Old Town Bay off leash, and Sarah, as you know, they jump up on people's vehicles, they scratch the paint, they, you know, their parents aren't paying attention to them, and they're, you know, not picking up after them because they don't know where they're doing their biz. So we really need to send that message that if you know what, if you're gonna be a dog owner, please, bulldog owner. Councillor Bushell.
Yes, through the chair, I know on our regular council meeting, we have a correspondence from Mary Ann Easton about a small dog park fenced area over there at the dog park. I know Daryl did some homework on another dog park. I guess I'm not sure what street it was on, I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, I see it is a problem in the community if people keep sending us letters about, you know, building a small dog park, so then you're gonna have bylaws on how big the dog can go to go inside that thing.
Like the suitcase holder at the airport.
Yeah, so.
Does your dog fit in this? Daryl, did you want to?
No, you were talking about Lions Park? Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, we've decided not to move forward with that. Yeah, and I understand that there is a need for, perhaps there is a need, but sometimes when you go past the dog park, there's no one there. So, I mean, pick your battles too, as to when you're gonna use the dog park, because lately I've been going past and I think there's maybe 4 vehicle stops and I don't even see a dog, like they're all out, you know, down by that. So again, pick your battles and let's remind people to be responsible. Thank you, Sierra.
Hey,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna pipe in, Colleen. You don't see my
Oh.
hand again.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. So I have been doing off-leash dog parks for 35 years, working with the city of Vancouver and then city of Surrey, and now here in Sicamous. I think the biggest thing that we're missing here is signage that says your dog needs to be under control. And that is literally it. That, you know what, like our big off-leash park is not completely fenced in. If you lose your dog should be under control. If your dog eats a little dog, your dog should be under control. If your little dog eats a big dog, your dog needs to be under control. So I think that needs to be our message throughout our community and throughout. It is your responsibility that your dog is under control. Period. And that here are our off-leash spaces, and those are our off-leash spaces, and after that you're on leash. Period. And that's what we expect. So huge dog advocate. Everybody knows that. This is my livelihood. I love animals. I volunteer. It pays my bills. I work with many communities. Sicamous' message needs to be, your dog needs to be under control. Period. We don't need to get into aggressive dogs. We don't need to say muzzle this, do that, yada, yada, yada. It just, if you can't control your dog, then it shouldn't be out there, right? Because I could have the grouchiest dog in the world, and if I have it under control, there's no issue when Buffy runs up and barks at it and we're in the off-leash park. Or if I'm down at Old Town Bay, my dog, if it's under control, it's not bouncing off boats or jumping off cars and stuff. So I really feel like that's our messaging, and it isn't just social media. I think there needs to be signage, because a lot of people come in out of town. Our dog park is known. So we've got people coming from Kelowna that come to Sicamous to participate in our dog park because we've got that beach. So I think signage is huge, and I think Campton's campaign is huge, but yeah, under control. I'll say it again, under control. Okay, the end. By Shimon.
Okay, thank you. Sierra, thank you very much. And with that, we will move on. Oh, sorry.
Thought they're home.
Okay. Okay, planning quarterly update, June.
I'm here to present a brief planning activity report from January to March, and for providing a little greater perspective, we included some activity that were featured in April, the first and second week of April. In summary, from the first quarter of this year, we approved a 2 development permit. We approved 3 development variance permit. In terms of the zoning and an OCP amendment, which is a bylaw amendment, we approved 1, and then we approved the 1 OCP bylaw amendment, which was for 675 Old Town Road property. In terms of the subdivision, we have currently 5 files under review. We have issued a preliminary layout review letter for 2 projects, and 1 was approved, which was Form E amendment related to the strata development. It's not listed within this list that we provided, but I would like to quickly note that we are also completed the 2 LCRB referral. This is a liquor and licensing branch referral. We also received the 2 Crown land referrals that the staff is currently reviewing and then circulating for the interdepartmental comment. That was pretty much it.
Any questions, council? Councilor Bushel?
Through the chair, doing the Crown land ones, that we never experienced any of those. Like, are they like for trails or for logging? What would they, you said, do you indicate you had a couple?
Go ahead.
Through the chair, usually in the municipality, depending on the scope of the project, we receive a degree of a Crown referral request, which are sometimes from the Ministry of Forest or sometimes from a BC timber sale. So depending on the referral entity, usual scope of the referral process is a little bit different. But for these particular two cases, those are, one is related to the road and the other is related to the timber sale area subject to the timber sale. At the brief review of those two files, it appears that those areas subjected to the referrals are outside of the District of Sikkim zoning jurisdiction. But per the official community plan schedule, such as wildfire hazard area and or the other policy relevant to the forestry or economic activities, we may be able to provide some comments as in form of a recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thanks, June. Okay, go ahead.
There, just to Bianca, would you be able to go back to maybe a little down the DP section? Yeah. If I may, I'd like to do a little corroboration on Councillor Makayev's question on the building permit reviewing process turnaround.
Okay.
Which in general we provide says 6 weeks to 8 weeks. Usually for the public's information purposes, there are two scope of activities that requires to complete the one building permit, which is one is the building officer's review, which focuses more on the BC building code. And the other part is a planning related, which our staff, so planning team would take a look at the zoning conformity and then use conformity. There are certain project that was originally triggered as a simple building permit application, and then that turns to be a development variance permit application for the zoning bylaw amendment application. The reason why those simple building permit turns into the more complex higher planning application is because of, oftentimes the proponent may not be aware of a certain covenant conditions or the specific section of the zoning bylaw. So they would appear to just submit a simple building permit application where they build their expectation to be relatively simple and fast forward processes. But in a reviewing of the planning team, we often highlight that for you to realize this particular arrangement, you need the development variance permit and or certain development permit to enable you to process. And that's the reason why, oftentimes, if the proponent weren't aware of such necessity, they will encounter the situation where they have to pause on the building permit reviewing process, but goes to the development variance permit process first and or the zoning bylaw amendment, which could take 2 weeks, 2 months, sometimes time to time, 3 months, depending on the complexity of the project. So I'd just like to highlight some of the project that was triggered by the simple building permit application, which are 310 White Pine Crescent. That was a development variance permit that we approved, but that is tied to the building permit application, which was reviewed and then processed. The other good example is 1383 Silver Sands Road. That was submitted originally as a building permit application, but through the planning review, the planning staff highlighted that it requires a variance to realize such arrangement. So that is the reason why, compared to the general processing 6 to 8 weeks timeline, it got kind of longer and thus became 2.5 months to complete that project. In similarity to other two, 17 Mooncarm Crescent is another good example. Proponent originally submitted the simple building permit application, but through the planning review, we highlighted that it would require a watercourse development permit. Although the scope is a relatively simple process, because of we are the municipality where the practice has not been because of there are certain aspects that we can practice to reduce the higher planning related permit timelines, but we are a municipality that doesn't really practice it in an active manner, and that may be the reason why certain application aforementioned takes a little long, making it a perception to the public that it takes unnecessarily longer for a simple building permit application.
So thank you for that. I guess, and I guess my comment on that would be okay, but once you've done it, building permit should go out the next day, not be waiting 2 weeks or sitting in a pile somewhere. So understand that there are some permits that are a little bit more complicated than other. As long as we are letting the developer know that this is what he needs and nice and clear, because you're not going to get it until you get this back. Because sometimes I find myself as mayor getting phone calls and they either don't know what they're waiting for, or they're waiting for a development permit that should be in their hands already. So I guess communication is key with our developers and what's going on. So that's what I would suggest, really good communication with them. CO.
Your worship, so one of the initiatives that we're working on is a delegation bylaw. So there's a number of these applications you're seeing having to go through council that in a lot of municipalities have been delegated to staff so that they don't have to go through that 4-week trip to council component. They can just be issued by your manager or your AO or your CAO. So the delegation bylaw, we don't have a lot of delegation at this point. Having many of these components delegated to staff would allow for that compression of timelines, and that's an important piece of the work we're going to do this year to bring in a delegation bylaw and then hopefully over time expand the delegation so that we can have less transfer time between when an application is made and when it gets approved. So it wouldn't require a trip to council. That saves a lot of staff resources as well as a lot of time in processing. If we can just simply go to review, still get all the technical components. Council sets up in their OCP what the requirements are, but we can just go straight to issuance of the permits.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Oh, go ahead.
Through the chair. The other initiatives that we are currently working on is in conjunction with the communication department of the district. We are preparing some bulletins, information bulletin that outlines and clarifies what are the general expectation of our application process. And it also provides more information on relatively delicate topics like subdivisions or the difference between the type of the subdivision and then expectation that comes with it. So we anticipate those bulletins to be it's still in progress, but once it's done, we would like to share it to the public through the communication and website.
That's a great idea. I love checklists. I love when you hand someone a list and and you've got to check off all of these things before you get your development permit, not one thing at a time, and they come in and you go, well, no, we can't issue it quite yet. You forgot this. Well, they didn't know they forgot that. So checklists and communication, I guess. And that's, yeah, I love that idea as well. Okay. We're good.
Yeah, great.
Okay, thank you. Okay, transportation plan, District of Sycamoose and Ministry of Transport and Transit Partnership. Daryl, take it away.
Sure thing.
No slide presentation.
No slides. What? It's a quick verbal, sorry.
You serious?
Busy right now. It's hard to take time for slides.
Always time for funny slides.
Well, right? Yeah, so I just wanted to give a quick high level update as to where we are. As you know, through the budget process, we put some money aside so we could partner with MOTI and do a study in our community and come up with a community transportation plan. A bigger study that kind of runs 5-year mark, 10-year mark, the 25-year mark, just overall plan. So I just want to give you a high level kind of where we're at. We started last year working as a group, district staff, getting the terms of reference together. And we partnered with MOTI and we hammered that all out. We were happy with the terms of reference, and then they had a process to go out and find an engineer to lead this project. So they've got some short list traffic engineers that are very familiar with this kind of thing. So we let them run with that, and we through our partnership, the 50-50 split. It was awarded to Parsons Engineering. And so we met with them last week for the first time. We had an initial meeting. The purpose of our study is to develop comprehensive transportation plan for the district of Sycamoose to improve the safety and the mobility of all modes of transportation. So obviously with MOTI as our partner, we're going to be looking at the highways, the accesses, the egresses off the highways. The study area specifically is from where the two highways meet. going east. And then it'll be from that point going south to Capel. So we're a little constrained with budget. We've got some key areas in there, and we worked into the terms of reference that we want special focus on Solsco-Sycamoose Road as an intersection, Rama and the highway, Rama Avenue, and obviously Capel Street. We want to look at that intersection as well. So everything will be looked at within the scope, but those are areas of special focus. The study partners involved, obviously MOTI and the district. We're also including the Shuswap Trail Alliance for their input, the Trail Development Group, the Chamber of Commerce, and then we will be adding any other interest groups as we go along, and we see a need for reaching out, we will do that. As mentioned last week, we had the kickoff meeting. We met the team on the other side, and off phase one, which will be, that first meeting, they'll be doing a site review, and they'll be looking at background reports that have been done. There's been a whole litany of reports done on the highways. So Parsons will be kind of synthesizing the information through that process. They will be doing some data collection, and then they will look at coming up with an engagement plan development. So that'll be phase one. And then we'll move into phase two, which is existing and future conditions analysis. So they will look at all the interactions of the accesses off the highway and see how the infrastructure is holding up, what it looks like now, what we can expect, what's going to need to happen. And then phase three will move into option generation. So they will have a bunch of options to look at, and we'll have an evaluation framework to go through. And that'll lead to the final phase, which is the option evaluation and prioritization. So at that point, we should have all those options screened, and we'll have a better idea of how the projects should roll out. There will be engagement. We'll be keeping council abreast of all this. There's nothing with the public that's part of this process at this point. And the overall study, we're scheduled for a year from now. So April 2026, this should be completed. That's where we are, and that's where we're going, and we've got some key points to look at.
Excellent. Thank you, Daryl.
You betcha.
Council questions, Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. So on Highway 1 westbound at 97 intersection, so when cars are turning left off of Highway 1 westbound, left onto 97.
Yeah.
South. Right now, that's not the current standard because there's not enough queuing in the left-hand turn slot. It's not the current standard. So what's happening is cars are backing up into the single lane. That's the only single lane through lane on our on our national highway.
Yeah.
And then they're end up basically driving on their shoulder to get by there. That's a pinch point. I didn't hear you mention that in your.
Yeah, it's within the scope. So you're talking Highway 1, and we're talking right from where the two highways meet, going eastbound. And then we're going 97 all the way south to Capel. So that queuing that you're talking about going left onto 97, that would be encompassed in the study.
Okay.
Councillor Beach.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Beach.
Thank you. So I'm glad. Thanks, Daryl. I was glad to hear Capel in there, or Capel, however you say it. So yeah, because that got some concerns on that. And yeah, I agree with Malcolm there. When we looked at that area coming off of 97, that was definitely a problematic turn there when we did an assessment earlier on. So that's good. Glad to hear that Capel is being looked after too. Dangerous corner.
Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, thank you. Yeah, Daryl, this is great news that they're starting on this. It's such a good timing right now because, I mean, we just started their alternate route and we haven't even got to the summer yet. And I just see the people struggling to cross the Capel. You see the people struggling to get across the highway over to Rama or by the Tim Hortons there. It's great timing. But one thing, you know, I don't know if they can stretch it a little further. Seeing like, we have some plans, the beach park and Old Town Bay, maybe infrastructure for the bridge. I mean, that's down the road. But if they can, are they gonna include any of that, getting residents from Old Town in? I know we're gonna come Canby Salswell, but there's also plans for a bridge into Silver Sands Beach Park that way. Is there any?
Through the chair specifically, nothing about a pedestrian bridge. Like, off the beach park that way. But any areas impacted, you know, to the highway, so Solswa, Sycamoose.
Yeah.
Definitely, like the dog parking to town, that's primary concern for us.
And are they gonna do anything to do with Blue Ways? You know, we did that blue study with the Shuswap Trail Alliance, and it was the Blue Way, and they talked about canoe launches at Salt Squaw Bridge, and also, of course, it's over at Silver Sands, but they're gonna include the talking about the launch.
So part of the active transportation plan had some of those components within it. That's a document that will be used as part of the reference and part of the study, so.
Perfect, great, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, you bet.
Right. Community policing petition, Captain.
Okay, through the chair, the district received a petition regarding community policing following the delegation that happened at the April 9th council meeting. So we currently have a petition with around 135 signatures that's been submitted. It was included on the agenda. And based on our correspondence policy, once a petition is received, it's to be put on the next council agenda for discussion and consideration by council. I'd also like to note, just by way of background, that the Sycamoose RCMP are aware of the petition, and Sergeant Murray McNeil will be attending the May 14th meeting to provide his quarterly update and also speak to some of the concerns expressed in the letter. So I just wanted to make sure that this was on the agenda for council consideration today.
Okay, thank you. And I am just going to share that I did reach out to Catherine St. Dennis, Director of Policing and Security Branch, and Lindsay Loway, she's a senior branch program manager. So we, me and Bianca and I zoomed in with them, and we shared our community concerns and our location and our growing community. We covered that as well, and the bridge construction and the increases, and every community is having increases, but we also addressed our police being short-staffed right now. So they were going to reach out and have a discussion with Murray. And so we have followed up based on the petition and made sure that we've got the right people informed now as to what's going on and concerns that we have in the community. I also brought up Enderby and the cannabis stores here because they're there. And because it's part of our community, it's very close to our community, and there's, 10 or 12 cannabis stores there that are, just within reach of us as well. So here in Sycamoose, if we have a maximum of 2 cannabis stores, and both of those owners have put probably more than $150,000 worth of security into those stores with vaults and locks and cameras to make sure that they are safely out of reach. So we did express concerns there as well. So she was going to reach out. They're going to have a meeting with Murray. I'm not sure what the outcome will be, but they're very positive about it, and happy to hear from us. So that was positive. Dean, did you want to add anything to that?
No, other than we did hear back from the area superintendent. And she's offered to contact information if you wish to reach out to her. Shauna Bear. So she's the McNeil's district superintendent and the officer above him. So he'll be in contact with her, and then we may meet her there as well.
We'll see if we can hook up with her. Councillor Rich.
Hi, through the chair. First of all, I want to thank Anita Lam Chet. Sorry if I've killed your name. And everyone that has signed this petition and feels this way, and we hear you and we are working on it. Secondly, I would ask, we had a UBCM resolution, which last year, and I think we haven't had follow-up on that. So I'll ask the mayor or staff to where we're at with that. And I think third, that we just need to keep pushing. Obviously, we've been a pretty sleepy community. And over the last 2 years, we're a little not sleepy. We're not a sleepy community anymore. So I would really like to get our community back into that, just a very chill, relaxed place where everyone's safe. So again, we're moving forward, and I hope with mayor and council, we keep pushing provincially with our RCMP to support them and do what we need to do.
Thanks, Councillor Rich. Yes, of course we will. We'll continue to do that and make sure that we are doing all we can to keep our community safe. The reach out from Catherine St. Dennis was based on the UBCM letter that we received. They sent back to us last year. So that was her reaching out. So there was a response to that, and that was this. So we will be moving forward with making sure we keep the conversation going. Okay. Councillor Rich.
Lowering hand, sorry.
No worries. Okay, let's keep moving here. We're at the fun stuff, Mayor and Council reports. Councillor Bush.
Off guard there. It's been it's been a little quiet. We had the Planning and Development Committee meeting last week. It went fairly well, other than I felt really bad for Vern and his wife, who put in an application that came for a temporary use permit on Main Street. But anyways, we're working on it, and working through the crux of things, and I guess maybe a planning committee, the group that we had weren't real keen on another TUP permit and on Main Street, so we shot it down, and it hasn't even come to council yet. Who knows if it'll come to council or where we stand, but they've been looking at another facility. And other than that, we got our big community cleanup coming this weekend on Saturday. We start at 7 a.m. at the meet at the curling rink. And hope anybody, what? Oh, did I say 7? Oh, sorry. Thanks, Deb. Thanks for. I'll be there at 7. Anyways, looking forward to anybody that can help out in the community. We just get around all our major routes, and Deb's a real big hand in putting it all together, and Daryl, and we got a great team, and we clean up the community and clean the ditches up and do a little brushing sometimes and whatever else has to be cleaned up. And we hope we get some people to sign up at the front counter here. And I guess that's about it. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. Councillor McCabe.
Not much to report. We did have a housing committee meeting scheduled, and I did come and attend, but we didn't have a quorum, so that had to be canceled. And that's about it for me.
Thanks, Councillor Rich.
Hi, so yes, housing committee. I made the first one, which was canceled. Second one I didn't make, which was canceled. Also piped in on the trail meeting. Shout out to Richard, who's doing a great job working with all the trail guys. Had a really great meeting with the ATV guys and backcountry guys, so that was great. And I also got to attend the Easter egg hunt, and Jamie and Danielle were there, and our local fire department. So I think Chris Wilson was acting as our fire chief. So if you look at the numbers, it says 150 kids, but if you put like 1 or 2 adults on that, we probably had 400 people through there. And our staff commitment to that was 2 people, which was Jamie and Danielle. And the fire department definitely backed them. But what a turnout, what a great day. We had lots of rain in the morning, but they rocked it. So I just want to put a huge shout out to them. And to everyone in our community that brought their kids out, and Girl Guides came and set up a booth. Bosley's donated. Angie from the library was there. The fire department had 2 trucks. Like, it was pretty phenomenal. So just a huge shout out to all these people that showed up.
Excellent, thank you. Counselor Beach.
Through the chair, yeah. I missed the Easter egg hunt, which, yeah, I'm in Sweden. I'm sorry I missed it. Thank you, Siobhan, for showing up there and representing me and all the others. And I did. I had a couple of walkthroughs on the health center, community health center. Which were really informative and great to do before I left. Other than that, I've been pretty preoccupied with being in Sweden, getting to Sweden, and finding my way around. But it's everything. Very, very proud of how everything's moving along and the work that everybody's doing. So other than that, I'm not doing much else other than trying to be present at these meetings right now and keep informed. So thank you.
Thank you, Pam. That's pretty exciting. The health center's coming along. It now has power. Yay. Yes, it's energized. So that's all good news. Dean and Bianca and I did a tour with Rebecca Holmquist. I think that's how she pronounces her last name. I'm not sure. I just may have butchered that. She works for Life Labs. So Life Labs is interested perhaps in having a space in our health center. So that's really good news. So very interested, and we will probably hear back in a couple of weeks, I would think, as to what direction they're thinking of going. I attended the CSRD board meeting about last week. Nothing too much. Rail trail upgrades for ALC holding up the trail is kind of the messaging right now. I think there was one that came out yesterday from the CSRD. If you guys want to, if you haven't seen it, you can pull it up and have a read. MOTI was there as well, and they were a delegation. And they're actually working with MOTI is a bit of, it's nice. They're pleasant to work with. They're very flexible. They love working with our staff. So that's good. Their communication is really good. They let us know when, things are going on as quickly as they can. So it's been, it was a really good presentation. Also just a reminder, those flag people on the road, there is a speed limit when you're going by them, so everyone needs to adhere to that. Those folks want to get home safe at the end of the day too. So please just pay attention to all the speed limits, and there's like 3 different speed changes on Highway 1 now heading towards Salmon Arm. So just heads up. Met with the RCMP. Chris Sims from Interior Health. We had a Zoom meeting yesterday, and Joanne, I don't know Joanne's last name. Do you guys remember it? She is with Interior Health, and she designs labs and what goes into a lab. So we had a conversation with them yesterday about a lab in our medical center as well. And this has been going on for a couple of years. So Sycamoose is actually presenting. We have such a great model. We're definitely trendsetters. We're presenting a great model that is all-inclusive community health. So when when you're asking these folks for some help after you've done this, you've gone all on your own for so long, and you ask them for a little bit of help at the end to get over the finish line, it really frustrates me that we are setting a standard in community health for other communities. And I would like to see more assistance from interior health right now. So I will keep working on that. Follow up the food chain. Silga starts next week, so mayor and council will be off to that for a few days. Right after that, I've got some governance sessions coming up. So with the CSRD, and I guess April the 13th is catch up with mayor and council. So looking forward to that as well. And that's it for me. So we're gonna open it to the
Oh.
floor.
Sorry, Colleen, my hand's up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I've got a couple questions for you. So May 13th, not April 13th, because April 13th's gone and come.
Sorry.
So that's one. Two, are we going to be updating the bridge? Because I believe the bridge schedule is going to change as of June 15th. So can we get that out to the public?
They are working with Campton regularly, so that is.
Okay, just so I'm getting asked lots, so that would be really great if we can get that out there.
It will be on there, yeah.
Okay, and then my last but not most important question is, there's a bit of confusion about the opening of the rail trail. So CSRD posted yesterday about that the trail will be open from 0.05 to 4.4. I've had many questions about, and then it says underneath that I can't quote it, but considering bridge or yada, 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 something like that. So can people from Sicamous park on the west side and get on the rail trail and walk to 4.4?
Yes, I would say yes, they can.
Yes, they can. Okay. So
yeah,
again, I think that's a communication issue, and I don't know if that's us or CSRD or Rail Trail, but we really need to get that out there. I would love to see people out over the May long weekend out there hiking back and forth. And if that's up to us to put signage so we're not interfering with our west side folks that have had people parking on their lawns and cutting through their property and all that kind of stuff, that we get the signage out that you can park. And I don't know where the parking is, so because I don't have any information on this, I just read off the CSRD, but that we, as the district of Sicamous, set up signs, park here, and then please don't bother these residents who live on that side, but come out and enjoy it, because I'm getting like people every day are texting me and they're like, are we allowed on the rail trail? We're not allowed on the rail trail. Because the CSRD website is a bit confusing. It says open from 0.05 to 4.4, but it doesn't have any places to park, and it doesn't. And then it has a little disclaimer at the very end, which says something. I can't remember the wording, but it kind of sounds like if we're open or something like that. That's not the wording, so don't quote me. But it would be really great if we could do some communication around that, and that we can get the signage out before May long, so that when we have people coming out that want to enjoy that trail, that they know where to park, they know what to do, and we're not interfering with anybody else's lives.
Okay, I think on that release, it says limited parking, so we're not advertising our parking over there, so
But we need to do signage so people aren't parking on our residents' lawns. And if the trail's open, then we either need to push them down to Fallon Road, which I think has 7 to 11 parking spots, don't quote me, or we push them down if 0.05 is open and they have parking there, or that people walk. I don't even know if you can walk across Broom Bridge, but I think it's really important that we include that in everything. If that trail is open, then how do people get to it?
Okay, thanks, Sean.
One thing we've been waiting for the last 2 weeks is to have a meeting with the partners about the access and about the first 0.5 kilometers of the rail trail. That meeting finally did get scheduled for this week. It's tomorrow morning. We're meeting with the CSRD and our partners from the Splatsine, as well as the North Okanagan Regional District. So we've got a number of people that are going to be involved in the rail trail discussion tomorrow. And one of the topics is the 0 to 0.5 and the access component. And we've been waiting for this conversation, and we'll be excited to provide some reporting back to council on what those decisions are and what's going to be happening and when the plans are going to be ready for how that's going to be constructed.
Councillor
Appreciate
McKay.
it, Dean, but if we're advertising it, then we need to make sure that people know where to go.
Thanks, Councillor Rich. Yeah, we'll move forward.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that even though we paid for a portion of the rail trail, we don't own the rail trail. And that we're not the lead on the rail trail. We don't provide signing, the CSRD provides the signing.
Okay, thanks, Councillor McKay. Okay, that's it for my report. Captain?
I was just gonna say through the chair, we haven't communicated about the rail trail in a little while just because there have been so many different moving parts. So hopefully Dean will report. I'm sure Dean will share some information with me, and if anything that comes out of that meeting should be shared with the public, we'll make sure that we do so in a timely manner to make sure that the information that's out there is accurate and up to date.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, any questions from the gallery? Deb, go ahead.
Yeah, just with the community cleanup, so it's Wednesday and the community cleanup is Saturday. We are going to have lunch at Legion's, so if there is any district council staff or whatever that haven't either signed up or messaged me, just let one of the two of us know right away. They're telling me right away, so it's all good, but we just need numbers for lunch. And I was just gonna say, like, I just keep getting requests coming about the farmers market, so I created an overflow section now. And we're gonna have 40+ vendors.
Wow, that is so good, Deb. And when does that start?
May 23rd is the first market, and then the next market isn't until June 20th, and then it's every week until September 19th.
That's
15
amazing.
markets altogether.
Good, excellent. Good. Anyone online?
Doesn't look like it.
Anyone else in the gallery? All right, we are going to adjourn this community of the whole meeting at 2:52 on April 23rd. Can I get a mover? Councillor Rich, Councillor Bushell, all in favor. And we're done.